What up, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about war. More importantly, doing a war top 10 war offense video. I said war a bunch of times there. This is going to be a lot of fun because war has never been in a better spot as far as the meta goes. We'll briefly talk about that, and then we'll jump into our top 10, talking about the counters, talking briefly on punch-ups for some of them. I'll probably forget. You know how it goes. Anyway, let's get into it and let's have some fun. Alright, so the war meta defense, at least from what I've seen and the people that I've spoken to, seems to be horseman teams on defense with your usual war defense tagged teams. That's your heroes for hire, your heroes as guardian, your marauder team, your young avenger team, and then two kind of crappy fill-ins. Seems to be the war defense meta. Some people in some zones seem to actually keep Gamma on offense, which is something I would love to do, but it's not the best thing for competition. And they replaced that team with like Tangled Web, Dorm, Chavez, some kind of version of that, which is much easier to beat. So we are going to talk about how to counter that team while we go through these top 10, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, so this is the war defense meta. And the reason that the overall war meta is so good is because we have the perfect solutions for all these teams that can do pretty significant punch-ups. So what that's done is it has increased the level of competition between alliances. That's why lately we've been able to beat Legion in Super Troopers, though our last one was heartbreaking. You'll see that video tomorrow. Ouch, my heart, it hurts. You'll see what I'm talking about. But it's really shortened the gap in competition, and I gotta say, we love it, and I know a lot of guys in Legion, they love it too. They don't like just punching a bag. They don't like these easy wins. And I have also seen other alliances, not just in the top 8 of ELOs, doing similar types of war victories, which I think is a lot of fun, brings a lot more energy and a lot more life to war. So with that said, let me give a quick disclaimer. If you're in the type of alliance that doesn't care about defense and you have your Gamma, your Darkhold, your Death Seed, all on offense, this list is not going to make sense to you because those three teams would probably make it within the top 5 of the war offense section here. But that doesn't make sense in a competitive sense. So we are going to be listing the top 10 war offense teams, keeping in mind competitive gameplay. I'm excited. Let's go. All right, so coming in at number 11. That's not 10. But we got to talk about 11 teams. I'm sorry, guys. We got to talk about Dark Hunters. Now, they were really just completely designated to take out Heroes for Hire teams. And during the last couple months, players have been finding ways to make the Heroes for Hire be a nightmare even against the Dark Hunters counter. But we found ways to work around that, particularly using OG Falcon, holding off on the Morbius ultimates. You can see a couple of those in my YouTube shorts if you want to check that out. But now there seems to almost be an impenetrable wall being placed in front of us with the reworked Captain America. It seems like he might actually give a real deflex to the team that can stop the blinds from Morbius landing. If that happens on Shang-Chi or Misty, you lose. So I don't know if Dark Hunters are even going to be able to beat Heroes for Hire anymore. With that said, they can still beat a lot of teams. So they will still make this list simply because you're going to have them leveled, or if you've been playing competitively, you're going to have them leveled because Heroes for Hire was such a nightmare and it was great to have an answer to them. It sucks that Scopely keeps bringing that back into prominence, the Heroes for Hire team. But our Dark Hunters will work elsewhere. So they will crush Bionic Avengers. They do beat Marauders. They will destroy Web Warriors if for whatever reason your opponent is putting Web Warriors on defense. Cloak and Dagger team, they will get affected by the blind, so it beats them up too. And then your Astonishing X-Men is another team that the Dark Hunters walks over. So they're not done yet, but Dark Hunters are hanging on by a thread. They at least are better than Shadowlands. It's something. It's something, guys. All right, so let's get into the real top 10. We got Z-Factor with Force. This is kind of my brainchild, and I love this team. What you're talking about is a Zemo with Shatterstar, Longshot, Polaris, and X-23. X-23 you can flex for Surfer if you don't have her built whatsoever, but maybe you do because we just had the Age of X Crucible and you built up a lot of Hero Mutants. This could help you get further use out of her. So, best use against Uncanny, Astonishing team. They'll crush that. There's a little bit of RNG there, but not too much. On a punch-up, I would say keep it to about 100k. Rebirth, Shatterstar Special is unblockable, so those defense downs do land. And then you have so much AoE, so much damage coming out because it is in war for your dad bros. that you can really rip through this team. Now, against the Rebirth team, I'm actually thinking about taking out Zemo and putting in somebody different, somebody who might also have unblockable attacks, or do a turn meter rewind instead, because Zemo's no longer reliably landing that ability block or those slows on the Rebirth characters because they have 100% block chance. And that's dumb, but it's also cool that Rebirth is a little bit better now. Keep that to within about 100, 150k if you do that punch up. Then your Bionic Avengers walks over Bionic Avengers. It's a beautiful thing. Just don't put the ability block on Viv for obvious reasons. Do that onto the Deathlock. And then we have some risky counters. So it's become kind of a trend where for Young Avengers, players are taking the America Chavez and plugging her into other teams to make them a nightmare. If this is the case, you can do a nice, comfortable punch across with your Z Factor with Force against a Chavez-less Young Avengers. But make sure you practice that matchup first, because it's still very dependent on keeping the Squirrel Girl controlled and not getting stuck behind the Miss Marvel before you're able to either kill the Squirrel Girl, kill the Echo, or kill the Kate. That's going to be kind of your pick depending on what your opponent has as far as build levels go. So yeah, Z Factor with Force coming in at number 9. I love this team. It's a lot of fun to play. It is sad when I look back at other War top team videos that I look at Secret Avengers, how they were like in the top 5. They got pushed out so quick by these Horsemen team coming and becoming War defense staples. But they're not done yet. Okay, so we got Secret Avengers. And when I say Secret Avengers, I mean Captain Sam and Sharon Carter. And the other 3-piece you're going to put around them is going to be Nick Fury, Kestrel, and either Namor or OG Falcon. I like Namor better. The damage is really nice. The turn meter rewind is huge. And it's a lot of fun. I love seeing that Leviathan come through. So best used against the Marauders team, destroys the Marauders team. With Namor or OG Falcon, you'll actually get 2 turns before any Marauder gets 1. Now you see Doom hiding there behind Madeline. That's because even when Doom is slotted in with the Marauders, he still crushes it. Just make sure you're slow playing it a little bit. You're going to get to use your Sharon special before anything happens with the Doom. So just make sure you're not pushing that Doom to 50% too quickly. And then Rebirth. Yes, people are going to start having giant Rebirth teams. We saw like 1.5, 1.6 million Rebirths in our last war. And Secret Avengers demolishes them. Again, we have an unblockable special from Kestrel that puts defense down out there. And then you have AoEs everywhere, right? Obviously, your Fury doesn't do any kind of damage. But Sharon Carter does a chain AoE. Captain Sam does a full AoE. Namor does a full AoE. And surely by then, people have died. And if they haven't died, you're still getting more turns before the enemy goes. It is a beautiful thing. Crushes any size Rebirth. You can do either that Marauders or Rebirth team up to like 200k. Then we have any kind of team with Phoenix on it. This team will crush it. Just if it's Phoenix with like Astonishing X-Men, do not summon with your Nick Fury. Don't be silly. And that one you can do 300k punch up very easily. If it is the full Uncanny team, tunnel down the magic. Storm is not going to use her special on her first turn, and it'll give you time to do some work. But yeah, love that team. Important. Maria is garbage. Okay, Maria Hill as a character is garbage. She's already been subbed out from those 1 and 2 in the raid, and she's garbage in war. Do not use her. It benefits you 0. Okay, Namor or OG Falcon is who you want to use here. Remember when I said the meta was all the Horseman teams on defense? Let's flip the meta on its head. We're going to bring Unlimited X-Men to offense. The reason we're going to do this and not bring Death Seed, Darkhold, or Gamma to offense, which are all 3 way better teams than Unlimited in war, is because those teams are also way better on defense in war. So it just makes more sense to pull the least valuable defensive piece that also has offensive potential. What is that potential? All right, so they'll beat Death Seed. You just got to be careful. You want to do Dazzler, turn meter rewind on Archangel so that your rogue can taunt before the enemy Archangel goes. This is going to protect your other characters, and you're going to ping the team down very quickly. Mirror matchup. Throw in Cable with your Unlimited, and then you'll just win this. And then your Marauder team. Marauders without Doom. I haven't tried with Doom. I'll have to test that. But this one is pretty self-explanatory as well. You just kind of kill everything before anything happens. You have a bunch of ability blocks. You have a bunch of cleanses. And you're not too worried about the damage from the enemy team, frankly. So yeah, I love that. Again, maybe not with Doom. We'll see how that goes. Then we got some risky counters. So we got the Young Avengers, Eve Chavez or not, and then the Hero as Guardians. Now this can work because Rogue does do trauma. You have lots of ability blocks. So in the Young Avenger matchup, you can kind of try and tunnel down the Squirrel Girl. If you happen to do that, you should be safe, but it can get sketchy. For that one, no more than like a punch across. Then your hero as Guardian, same kind of thing. What I like to do is control the Thor with the Rogue special. That's pretty much immediately going to get Sif's taunt. You end up killing Sif. Your Gambit pings down the Thor along the way. Then it's a 5v3. But that can get really sketchy. So again, like punch across at best. And as far as punch-ups on the other ones go, I would keep it to about 100, 150k if you can help it. With Marauders, you can exceed that maybe to about 200. Coming at number 7, Team Not Found. I guess we're going to have to unlock this team later. We'll see what happens. Once the best team in the game, the crusher of everything, the master key to all of our problems, Infinity Watch are now at number 6. That doesn't mean they're not a great team. They're still one of my top 5 favorite teams to play, and they still have immense value. So in War, they could beat any kind of Tangled Web team. Say there's Tangled Web with Chavez and, I don't know, Cloak and Dagger. They'll beat that. The only thing to watch out for is if there's a Dormammu there. So if it's Tangled Web with Dormammu, no Infinity Watch. Death Seed, they can do pretty healthy punch-ups against Death Seed. For those two teams, you're looking at about 100 to 150k pretty comfortably because of all your controlling and defensive effects. Then we got Heroes for Hire. Now, we do have to talk about Heroes for Hire. Normally, we would just say that's Dark Hunters, but again, we talked about the Captain America thing coming to the game. Unfortunately, thanks, mobile. Infinity Watch are probably going to be our go-to answer for them in the future. So, Infinity Watch against the 4-piece Heroes for Hire is a lot more comfortable than Infinity Watch versus the 5-piece. Mainly because Calling Wing and Misty each lose a charge, so you only need to kill them twice. And then it's normally Iron Fist that gets subbed out instead of Luke Cage. Luke Cage gives defense up and energy and all kinds of stuff like that. And for that reason, when the Heroes for Hire drop below the threshold, when their charge activates, they're not getting the defense up. That is an Iron Fist mechanic. So Infinity Watch is chewing through them a lot faster. It's not going to be a comfortable matchup for a little bit, but it will be one that works. And honestly, if your opponent is going to be building up their Heroes for Hire just for war defense, you can build up your Infinity Watch, and then you have a great Crucible team as well. So as far as the competitive scene goes, this is going to be an okay exchange, in my opinion. And then Infinity Watch can also beat Unlimited, though I think we have better options for Unlimited, especially the giant Unlimited teams that we're starting to see. Infinity Watch can lose against them on big punch-ups. So there, I like a punch across, if anything. But the secret, horrible, disgusting use for Infinity Watch that I've had to do in my last few wars is to use them against the Gamma team. Not to kill the Gamma team, to burn abilities. So Infinity Watch is the only team in the game that can survive against a fresh Gamma, besides, I guess, the mirror match, that can survive against Gamma long enough to pull the Gamma, the Red Hulk special, the Red Hulk ultimate, the second Red Hulk special, because he does do one bang, 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 both A-Bomb abilities, both Brawn abilities, both She-Hulk, and both Hulk abilities. And then you have a much, much easier time on the cleanup, which is very important with these Gamma teams. When we see a 1.8 million Gamma team on war defense, we do not trust the Black Order burn against Gamma anymore. It has to be Infinity Watch. If you throw another team in there and you don't pull the Red Hulk passive, he'll clear his charges, so it's not like you can do a second easy burn. No. You got to start from scratch. So Infinity Watch does make the most sense when you're dealing with monster Gamma teams. Now, one of my absolute favorite teams to use on War, A-Force Doom. They could have made it higher on the list because they have so much potential. It's so interesting what they could do. And while making this video, I had a little idea, a little test I want to do later that might have big implications if it works. Well, we'll see. So, A-Force Doom, you can use them against Young Avengers on like a 300k punch-up. Doom is overkill, though. If you instead want to use Surfer, Symbiote Spider-Man, even Doc Ock, you can do that and maybe just drop the punch-up to about 150k if you're going to do that. But it's an amazing, amazing matchup. Most important thing to remember is how Nico's ultimate works. It's the primary target, the enemy with the highest health, and the enemy with the highest damage is who gets the trauma, the disrupt, all that nasty stuff. And then it's Spider-Woman who gives the heal block. So you'll want to make sure you're doing the Spider-Woman ability block in a corner to hit everybody, or if you're settling to just kill Squirrel Girl, make sure you're hitting Squirrel Girl with both a Nico Ultimate's debuffs as well as the Spider-Woman ability block. It's a very easy matchup, and if you bring Doom, it's foolproof. They are also the best team against the Tangled Web with Dorm, and it doesn't matter if there's a Chavez, it doesn't matter if there's a Red Guardian, it's going to be your A-Force Doom. And the reason for that is Jessica Jones' cleanse, just keeping you with immunity. So Dorm is very likely to be hitting with his special into a character that has immunity, not getting stunned. But more than that, while he's flipping your debuffs, Nico's passive is feeding Jessica Jones energy and speed, so she just keeps cleansing. She's a cleanse spammer. And you're also able to get to and control the Spider Weaver before she gets her charges up. The only thing that can go bad here is if Dormammu stuns your Doom in the event that if there's a Chavez and a Red Guardian, it can make it so that the Dorm has the ability to go before Doom. But that's a very rare case that somebody is sacrificing their Dorm toward defense, and we'll talk about why that is when we get a little bit further up this list. Death Seed Unlimited and Hero as Guardians, you can do like 500k punch-ups. It's stupid how good this team is at removing debuffs if there's no trauma, putting debuffs that always stick because of that Nico, and then doing massive damage, and that Doom absolutely helps there. So the trauma destroys the Rogue and Gambit going into stealth. 3 traumas with Disrupt, Hero as Guardians, it's crazy. But now, one of the reasons A4's Doom is my favorite, it probably is my favorite team to play, is because they counter people who turtle. So Weapon X and Underworld flex toward defense insanely well. But A4's Doom beats those 2 teams. If it's not too crazy a punch-up, you coming in with that speed up, those buffs, that Jessica Jones who can immediately flip things, can really turn it around and make this turtle shell crack right in half. I love doing that. The only thing I would suggest being careful of is Weapon X in Reactor. So in Reactor, you're going to spawn with Disrupt and spawn with Trauma because of the Omega Red, and then your Jessica Jones cannot get immunity on your team before he does his special. Depending on whom Omega Red targets in that event, it can get really scary. So that's it is what it is. Now let's get to the top 3. Whoops, I lied. We're talking about the top 4. So this is War Dogs. Yeah, so some people are going to be a little upset that War Dogs is coming in after Weapon X, but there's just some shortcomings that some of our plug-and-play defensive characters do to really counter War Dogs. But what I will say is if somebody asks me, should I build up War Dogs or should I build up Weapon X? I would say build up War Dogs before Weapon X. They just flex better to everywhere else in the game. Scourge, Crucible, Tower, that speed up on spawn is crazy powerful. So I would say that overall War Dogs is a better team than Weapon X. Who are they best used against? This one's kind of weird, right? Because you want to use them against Darkhold, but the Darkhold matchup is sketchy. You want to use them against Tangled Web if you see Tangled Web, but again, it's sketchy, and it gets even sketchier based on some plug-and-play characters, namely Red Guardian and America Chavez, in particular that America Chavez, speeding up characters like Morgan and Wong or 29-9 and Weaver, and then mechanically gets out of control. So you got to keep in mind that. But as far as Unlimited, Hero as Guardians, and Young Avengers, again, there can't be Red Guardian on the Young Avengers team. There can be a Chavez, but not Red Guardian. It's a very interesting take. Unlimited and Hero as Guardians. Let's talk mostly about them. You can do giant punch-ups on it. You want to tunnel down the Rogue in the Unlimited matchup, and you want to tunnel down the Thor in the Hero as Guardian matchup. I love this team. We're talking about like 300k punch-ups I've done against Legion, but I would suggest keeping it to around 150. Just a very fast, very fun team. And when Nakia starts pinging people out, very, very satisfying. But yeah, America Chavez and Red Guardian causing issues with them having to do what they need to do against enemy teams does drop them down to number 4. Now we got to talk about Weapon X. Yeah, Weapon X knocked out of the top spot a while ago as far as war offense goes. But Weapon X is such a strong team. With the 200% focus that Omega Red gets, it does open up some extra counters, but most important thing is the speed bar. The speed bar that Omega Red gets on spawn makes him go before certain characters. So in the Death Seed matchup, he goes before Magneto. Put the ability block on Magneto, and then you can hit auto and walk away. The Omega Red passive pulls the dodges that Psylocke gives. Then you get the ability block, and then it's done. Without those blinds, you're perfectly safe. In the Unlimited matchup, you want to get that, again, the dodges get pulled off from the Omega Red passive. Put that ability block on Rogue, and then walk away. In the Young Avenger matchup, you want to put the ability block on Echo. Don't hit it on auto and walk away. You want to slow play it until Omega Red has his second turn. Get that ability block up on the Squirrel Girl, and then you can hit auto and walk away. It's very funny the way it works. But yeah. And then we have Heroes for Hire. Now, this one could be coming back into prominence with Captain America. Weapon X, I don't want to say they struggled against the pre-taunting Hero for Hire options where we used to have Drax, Red Guardian, even Bishop in there to a certain extent. I don't want to say they struggled there because I never actually even attempted that matchup. But against the Heroes for Hire with Captain America, this will become may be the go-to over Infinity Watch because it'll be a lot more secure. So Captain America doesn't do a pre-taunt. You're going to get to use that ability block on the Misty, which you need to do, or you're going to get controlled, and then you're going to just kind of tear the team apart like we used to do. So this could be their new use, and if that's the case, then it'll be very good to have Weapon X there. And then Hero as Guardians. This one can be a little tricky. They all spawn with trauma. You can get a heal block on them. I forget who does the heal block. But regardless, you can get some offense downs on them with the Omega Red. None of that will get cleared when you kill your first character. You want to kill Thor right away, and then you can go from there. It can get sketchy. You want to keep that one to about 100k punch-up max. Death Seed, go nuts. 200k punch-up. Unlimited, go nuts. 200k punch-up. Young Avengers, 200k punch-up. Heroes for Hire with Captain America. Wait and see how that one goes. Then we have some risky counters. Now, Weapon X used to have to take these matchups, but now they don't because we have better options. Gamma. And the reason there's a fire emoji behind that Red Hulk is because you have to do a burn attack. Not just any burn attack. You cannot do the Black Order burn on Red Hulk, and then Red Hulk is opening the next match with special if you want to bring in your Weapon X. No, you have to do the Infinity Watch burn. You have to pull all of their abilities so that when your Weapon X goes in there, they don't have to worry about taunts or stuns or turn meter rewinds. They get in there, they kill the She-Hulk, and then you can go from there. Not a secure matchup, even after doing the Infinity Watch burn, can get very sketchy, but more than likely, you're going to cripple the Gamma team enough to leave it and go in there with something else to clean up the rest. Then there's the Darkhold matchup. This matchup we used to have to take, and we all hated it. You can kind of get through it because the 200% focus Omega Red gives does outweigh the 100% resistance Morgan gives. But if there's a character like Red Guardian, then you can't put the bleeds on who you want to put them on right away. You want to kind of Psycho Zerg the Strange, and if you can get the ability block on Morgan, you absolutely need to do that. So it becomes very sketchy and not the matchup you want to take. There's a super hard counter for Darkhold that we're going to talk about here in a second. And then Dormammu teams. Particular Dormammu teams, right? So if it's Heroes for Hire with Dormammu, Young Avengers with Dormammu, Heroes Guardians with Dormammu, Death Seed with Dormammu, those kind of teams, your Weapon X can still walk over. Tangled Web with Chavez and Red Guardian, Weapon X is not a good idea against. You don't get to put the ability block on Weaver, which is something you need to do. And even if Weaver is not being protected by a Red Guardian, if your Weapon X is too strong, you will kill the Weaver. She'll pop back up because of Dormammu, and then put her charges up, and then you're dead, right? That happened to me recently. So it's a risky counter, but it's something that you can do. But again, we just have better options for Dormammu teams. We really do. Let's continue this on. We dragged Weapon X a lot. They were once my favorite team. All right, now I guess you guys are probably wondering what's going to be 1 and 2. Number 2 is going to be Dorm Undying. The reason for this is because this is the best team to use against Gamma. And normally after a burn. So let's talk about a couple of variations you can do here. I'll give you my favorite, and maybe number 7 will be loaded after we're done this. So you got your Zombie Iron Man, your Hela, and your Dorm. Who do you want to put with them? You can put Tangled Web with them. This is, in my opinion, the only team that can do a one-shot on a full Gamma team if it's a punch down or punch across. Otherwise, it's very, very risky. You need to have Spider Weaver charges up when Red Hulk does his ultimate, or you will lose. And it's kind of RNG on how that happens, how many charges you were able to get on that Red Hulk before your Weaver got her charges ripped off, because she only gets 3 outside Crucible, right? So that could be a problem. Alternatively, you can use Eternals with your Dorm Undying team. Cersei and Icarus. This is my preferred version. The reason this is my preferred version is because if you do the burn with Black Order, and Braun is going to give immunity and a bunch of buffs to the enemy team on the start of the next one, Icarus will flip all those buffs. And if your enemy is being a sweaty tryhard like the opponents we face, and is boosting the Gamma after the burn, again, Icarus will flip those deflects into bleeds, which feeds into the Zombie Iron Man passive. And then turn meter rewind, and then, right? You also have stun from Cersei for the She-Hulk or the Red Hulk. Dorm has his stun. You get some trauma there from the Zombie Iron Man. And I just really think that team is the best, but you do have to do a burn there. And doing a better burn with like Infinity Watch makes that matchup free. It really does. Just look out when you're doing this matchup. If you're, say, adjacent to security, security is very scary, especially if you didn't do the Infinity Watch burn. With Red Hulk coming in, if he's doing his special, it does hit 3 times. If it's hitting security and he chooses Weaver or he chooses Cersei and he hits 3 times, takes the revive off at the first one, kills with the next, you just lose the matchup. So be careful. And again, if you're facing like 1.8 million gammas and it's adjacent to security or insecurity, probably do the Infinity Watch burn. I know me and my alliance, I'm pretty strong advocate of doing the Infinity Watch burn on those teams. It just makes the most sense. It really does. Let's go check number 7. Is it done loading? Here we are. Number 7, Tangled Web or Eternals. So whoever we didn't use with our Dorm Undying kind of is their own offensive team at that point, okay? So if you're going to do Tangled Web, I want to do Cloak and Dagger, 2099 Cable. The reason I really like this team is because it will outpace hybrids that have Chavez in it, okay? So Chavez gives 25% to adjacent, 2099 gives 20% to Weaver, and Cable gives 5% to Weaver. So now Weaver is also getting that 25%. She's already 127, so she outpaces a lot of the characters that are in the game. So recently against Legion, they did Eternals with Chavez. Icarus is at 126, Spider Weaver's at 127. I was able to get the charges up before Icarus goes. He wasted his ultimate, it all missed, and then Cloak and Dagger come in and they have a lot of fun. I really like this team. This is another reason why I prefer to use Eternals with Gamma. Tangled Web just seems to be a better option on offense because at least in the wars I face, Eternals have some problems. They're kind of great for B tier teams, but against teams that most people use them against, I personally can't, which is why I can't like wrap my head around their viability. But let's talk about it. So Eternals, and you want to pair them obviously with each other. Loki seems to be a mainstay. OG Falcon would probably go here, especially if the Dark Hunters are done dealing with Heroes for Hire. If OG Falcon is not used with them, he goes here. The speed up would be great. Let's Icarus take an extra turn before most enemies, because he does get speed up after his first turn too. And Deathpool just seems to have some good synergy with them, either spreading more debuffs or pinging after Icarus gets a couple kills. And who do you want to use them against? Well, there's the Hero Asgardians. I hate this matchup because once the Hero Asgardians start getting to like 1.5 or higher million power, even if I stall out for Icarus to use his ultimate on his second attack, I've had my Icarus ultimate with offense up not kill a Heimdall who is at 65% life. And when you don't kill the enemy, you just lose the matchup, which is brutal. And you get made fun of a lot from your alliance when that happens. And then there's the Young Avenger matchup. The Young Avenger matchup I also don't like, but if there's no Chavez there because the enemy is getting clever with their Chavez, Eternals can get through that a lot easier too. If there is a Chavez, you kind of need to have Emma with you. Emma Falcon instead of Loki Falcon. Or Emma, Loki, and Falcon instead of Deathpool. We used to do that matchup quite a bit. I know it works, but I'm so unfamiliar with it at this point, and I remember it having some shortfalls. Like if you couldn't get the double tap. So similar to Heroes Guardians. If you don't get the double tap, you can be in trouble. And now that Young Avengers are completely farmable and a Scourge team and outed as one of the best teams in the game, I have a hard time suggesting that matchup myself. I have a hard time taking that matchup myself, actually. But with that said, let's go ahead and look at Big Boys number 1. All right, Underworld taking the crown. Look, I've been screaming about this team since they came out. I love it. I love what the team became from Scopely, to be honest with you. So it's one new character with 4 super old characters. That means most veterans of the game have them at 7 yellow stars just because, and got them at high red stars because these used to be terrible characters. And we know Scopely jacks up the drop rate of terrible characters in the red stars, but it pays off now. And on top of that, Mr. Negative ended up going in the web store, so you're going to get him farmed up pretty quickly. Think like Wolverine. How quickly did you get him to 7 yellows, right? So this is going to happen very organically. And this team crushes. Darkhold, it does not matter what variation of Darkhold. It could be with Kestrel, you just got to play it a little bit different. It can be with Chavez, you still go first because of all the speed bar. It's crazy. And also the Tangled Web with Dorm Team. I wouldn't suggest doing that because if Darkhold's on defense, Underworld should be used there. But Underworld will absolutely crush that team if your opponent doesn't have Darkhold on defense for whatever reason. It's so powerful. And the way you want to play it, I have it in shorts, I have it in videos everywhere. But you want to summon with Kingpin, and then you want to put counters out with Nobu. And then Morgan is going to kill herself. She's blinded. It technically hits all 10 people, just doesn't do anything to them. The counters come in and kill the Morgan. I've done that on like a 600k punch-up against a 7 red star, gear tier 17, ISO level 5 Morgan. No problem. With the War Room buffs up, it's a flawless counter. except when it's not. So if Kestrel's on the team, you don't summon with Kingpin. Instead, you use the ultimate to get offense up. You still do the counters, but now not as many people are countering, but at least they have offense up. It's sketchier, but it still does work. We had to do that. It wasn't the end of the world. We still got through it. What I will say, beware Reactor with Darkhold in it. The Reactor causes your Nobu to only spread counters to a couple members, especially if you're doing Darkhold with Kestrel in Reactor. That can be the most scary. In that case, not to give away too many secrets, but my alliance uses a different counter to Darkhold. A counter that is not affected by the disrupt. So I'll leave that to you guys to figure out. You guys are smart cookies. I know someone in the comment section immediately be like, it's this team he's talking about, guys, which is fine. And then positioning. So positioning of the Underworld team, you need to position this properly. I cannot express how important this is enough. Taskmaster's position needs to be in the front left. Okay, I say it needs to be. It could be in other places if you have other characters in other places, but it's too complicated, so I'm not going to get into the weeds about it. All right, so Taskmaster in the front left of your save squads. That is to say, when you are building your team, far left, all the way in the left position, that is where your Taskmaster needs to be. If he's not, it's possible that he's not going to get the maximum speed bar from his passive. Just the way the game is coded, Taskmaster far left, he's also protected there. It's the perfect spot for him. You want to do that. Anyway, bye-bye. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.